I've been working in this belt sander here for quite some time now. I mean, it's a lot of tedious stuff, a lot of little pieces. This is a lot more involved than the person actually realizes to build one of these things. And there's a lot of little pieces there. And I kind of did some of it the hard way, but I think it's going to work out better when I'm done. The part here that comes out of there, and I'll see if you can see that in there or not. Ooh, that's terrible. And there's a roll pin right here that drives through the back of this end of this thing right here. Inside of here, this took a lot of time. I don't know if I'd do it that way again, but it worked out pretty good when I'm done. I don't know if I can get it out of there or not. Huh. Maybe if I push it right here. It's trying to come out. Get it underneath the bottom. Huh. Can't get it out of there. Wow. I can grab all that or not. Huh. It slides in there, but it's captive at the other end right here. So if I took it off the workbench here, I could. There we go. Ah. Now the other one's stuck. It should come out of there now, though, I think. Maybe not. Nope. I didn't get them pins driven in far enough, I guess. Anywho, back inside of here, here's a block in the middle of here. And I took these flat pieces of bar and I machined these things. I actually sanded these around right here, and I had to mill out the whole center of this thing because the tubing, it bows in the middle. Well, I fitted it took me quite a while to play with this thing, and you can see where I milled all the center of it out, and then kept playing with it. There was a bad spot in the middle there, so I had to cut out more of there. But these all four of these bars slide together inside there, like so. And there's two on the sides that actually, the top and the bottom is wider than the sides, and whenever I got to drill this thing out and put the bolt in here for the clamp bolt, yeah, that's why I had to take it apart anyway. But anyway, that's not a big deal there. But the part that was kind of a big deal to me, where's that stupid thing at? Here it is. Making that Platen attachment. Well, I made this Platen attachment. Okay. And yeah. All these little pieces in here got to be welded together. Well, I welded this much of it and took it over to the milling machine, and I milled it off flat again right here. But now my bolt threads aren't going to be square to the surface right here because all this stuff warped. You know, there's no way to stop the warpage in this thing when you try to weld all these little pieces together. It's just kind of, there's no way around it. Now I knew when I welded this thing to the bar down here, it was all going to warp again. I thought, well, this is crazy. So that's why I come up with the idea. I took this. It's a 3/4 by 2 inch bar, and I drilled it out on the bottom. You can see the two bolts in here. I believe these are 1/2 inch bolts right here. They go up from the bottom. They screw into the bar, this bar here, and that put the upright on there. I put the upright. This 1.5 bar. This is 3/4 inch. It's all the way over to one side. And then I took these other. This was some used metal I had, that's why it's got the hole in there. I took some more pieces of this stuff right here, and I machined this off right here, milled it off 3/16 of an inch, so it'd move the roller over this, 3/16 of an inch. So now my rollers right here, top and bottom both, you hold a straight edge on them, and you look at them, there's no gap in the rollers. They're square on there. This roller right here, so that pretty much cured the Platen attachment. It wasn't the bolt that goes through right here actually goes between the two bolts coming up from the bottom. So there's the two bolts coming up from the bottom go into this, and there's a hole drilled between them, which catches this right here and this right here. You know, back past that. Just a second, I can turn the furnace off. I really like the way that turned out right there. I'm really happy with this. I got to make the piece of metal, and you know, Platen or whatever they call it, that bolts this, but I can just offset that piece of metal a little bit on one side, and then I, you know, bolted this part right here, which is going to work out fine. All the stuff Jeremy did down here was absolutely excellent. There was no problems with all this right here. The design of it, the pivoting thing, everything right down the middle of this bolt hole, these bolts right here in the hinge. Great idea. You know, I don't particularly care for that Platen attachment. He doesn't have a milling machine. That's why he did what he did. I see no, you know, if he can get the thing lined up, make it work, that's more power to him, but I didn't want to fight it. Then I got to this belt tensioner thing, and it was another nightmare all over again. Because if you remember, Jeremy said in one of his videos, if you can't make it perfect, at least make it adjustable. I remember him saying that. Well, I welded all this up right here, and the roller was crooked. Not a lot, but by the time you add the straight edge to the side of the roller, it was off quite a ways, okay? I mean, it wasn't even nowhere near lining up this roller right here. And I'm wanting to run this belt tensioner forward, reverse, if I want to be able to make it, you know, so it's going to be easy to get the tracking. I don't want to be fighting the thing. So that's what I come up with. I took his, so you can bring you around this way a little farther. It's hard to tell if I can get a good picture of that. Let me take this bolt. Well, right now I got these things lined up. It was real easy to do. Line this roller up with this roller in the front right here. This here comes up like so. And lay this straight edge on here. It lines up. It's real close to the front roller right here in the front. By lining it up on here, the front roller lines up to the back roller. Everything's fine. The only thing I suggest you do when you do this is don't. That's got to come off of there. Is to add one more piece of metal in here. Okay, and I got to hold it in here so my bolt can slide sideways a little bit. So this here is all original, his stuff, with the exception this corner right here is milled off right here a little bit. This piece here now is a new added piece in here. I made the original right here, this part's original, and these right here were welded onto that piece there before. But I made these longer. These were 5/8 of an inch. I made these 7/8 of an inch long now. Okay, let's pull the bolt out of here. Alright, so now I made this part here is totally new. This piece here used to okay, this piece here, the roller, with the little things, with the little roller welded on, was up here like this. And you could not adjust nothing. You're screwed. Once you weld it on, you know, the only thing you can do is bend this bar right here to try to get your roller lined up. You can't move it sideways. It's a nightmare. So by adding this piece of metal in between this now with the one bolt on here, like so, you just use the same hole you already got in there right now, ready for your tensioner. That's fine. And this metal right here is 4 and 11/16 long. It's what is it? I don't have my tape measure here. Here's one. It's 4 and 11/16 long. It's 2 inches wide. And right where I put the where I welded these on, I milled this out in the middle right here to give it clearance for the weld on the back side of here. So when this all goes back together on here, the weld, this down here, the weld won't be hit. This weld right here won't be hitting this piece of metal right here. That's what the purpose of that being cut out right there. But everything's pretty much the same, with the exception that this one piece of metal right here has been added to it. Okay, so instead of now having something welded solid you can't adjust, now you got the one bolt in there you can adjust. Okay, So you can move this hinge in and out. You can tilt it this way, plus you can move it in and out. So now when you put your roller back on here, okay, and there's a 3/8 bolt going to go through here. And this part here is your tensioner, your adjuster for your tension. And the reason why I had to mill that little notch in this original piece right here was so the nut on the bottom of this wouldn't hit it. That's what this nut right here that goes up on the bottom here, which locks that in place. This is going to be a long with a handle on it up here. I just got a bolt sticking there right now. Okay. So now you can adjust your roller in and out. You can adjust it side to side if you want to. Just try to get it close to where you need to be before you drill that hole. So if you want to file it, I just milled the thing out, you know, on each side. Gave me a little bit of slop right there. So now I'm able to take and snug that one there up. I can adjust the roller so it's about 90 degrees. I can throw the straight edge on the roller, on the side of the roller, and I can bring it around till it's in line with this other front roller up here. Then I can check the front roller to the back roller, see if it's lined up, and it's really easy to set this thing. It doesn't take, you know, 4 or 5 minutes. You got the thing dialed in almost perfect. You know, it's going to make it where you can run the thing backwards and forwards, but just by adding that one piece of metal, and on the side of here, oops, I did grind part of this off right here too, so the weld under here would not rub, no interference there. And that's what I said, this notch and this piece of metal here was for the weld that's under here. I couldn't weld this any better than this before because of all the clearance. Now I can put more weld in there if I want to, because I've got plenty of clearance now. But I think it's going to turn out to be a lot. It'll save you a ton of aggravation, this right here. If you decide to do something like this up here, I believe this will save you a ton of aggravation as well. Like I said, he doesn't have a milling machine. I'm not knocking him at all. You know, this arrangement right here was really, you know, really catch me out. It's really nice. And I'm happy with all that. I just got frustrated trying to weld all these little pieces together to keep everything from warping. And yeah, well, I just thought I'd make a little video show you what I did to help try to improve this thing and make this thing easier to, you know, easier to build. And because this was a lot easier for me to build, it took me a little bit of time and not that much. And everything's lined up square. And this right here is totally adjustable. Like he said, if you can't make it perfect, at least make it adjustable. Anyway, if you guys build one of these things, you know, hope that helps somebody out, because it was sure frustrating the hell out of me trying to, you know, put this thing in the vise and beating it with a big pin and trying to bend this thing right here, and it just didn't want to bend. I thought, you know what, I ain't doing this. I'm gonna add this piece of metal in here and make this thing adjustable, and I'm really glad I did, because it's going to make it so easy to dial it in perfect. Before it would have been, you know, halfway there. This way it's going to be dead on the money when I'm done. Anyway, that's it. When I get done some more of it or whatever, and I got the little one of those special knobs to put on there to tip it with. That's all. Everything's working out slick right now as far as the tipping of it and all that. It's a neat belt grinder. It's a really neat design. You know, everything's going to work out perfect on there. I really like the design. He did great there. I just found this a lot easier to do, and I found this a lot simpler to adjust, to be able to get the thing where it's going to run through. And I thought that'd share with somebody, and maybe if somebody else build one of these things, they can use that idea and, you know, save them a lot of aggravation, because it's yeah, it can be very. There was another guy I was watching YouTube built one of these, and it took him like 3 days to get the belt to run true. And you know, I didn't want to go through that. That's why I went through this right here. That Palmer Moynihan on Mr. Pete's video. I don't know where he got that spring at. I wish he could. I tried to ask him, you know, on email, and he wouldn't answer me. But the spring I found was not. He's got a really nice spring on it. I don't know where he got it at. That's half the. There it is, right here. His is coiled up a lot tighter, and it fits in here perfectly. I don't know where he got it at, but this one will work. But I sure wish he'd tell me where he found the thing at. But he had made a round disc up here. He sent me some pictures, Palmer Moynihan, the guy on Mr. Pete's video, of how he made this thing where it was somewhat similar to this. But, you know, I just the piece of metal was a simple fix. He's got a nice latch on there. He can pull the thing down, which I'm thinking about putting on there too, to latch it in place so it stays down, so you can change the belt out real easy without fighting the handle and everything. But I get some of this done, you know, I'll paint it up, and I'll finish the videos and stuff. On the bottom down here, I got some, let me see if I can show you this. There's two, this block right here is welded on right here, and there's one up the front welded on too. And there's two 9/16 holes drilled in them. They're 1-inch thick steel blocks. And they're going to bolt to another piece of metal, which is going to go down for a stand. So it's going to be, you know, that's how I plan on attaching it to the stand instead of having a little wide feet on there and stuff. It's just going to be, you know, nice and sleek, just straight down to the bottom. And this end right here, you can kind of, if I pull this out of here, you can see the bars I put in here. That the top one I pulled out just a minute ago. And this was sitting up straight. Oops. I pulled that top one out of there. And there's the two sides. The sides, they can, there's nothing really, see how they can go inward? Well, my clamp bolt, when my clamp goes in here, it's going to be pushing on that piece of 1/4-inch steel right there to tighten up on the bar. Both of them are made that way. I got both of these made that way. It took a long time to fit that up. But then, like I said, there's a little block of steel 1-inch thick in the back of this thing, all the way in the back here in the back, and the bars go all the way through, and there's pinholes, sharp roll pins going in from the side that pin the one piece to the block, and a sharp roll pin comes from the other side, pins it to the block. Then a long pin goes through all of it, the top, the block in the middle, and the bottom piece, and all the way through the whole thing, and that holds the whole thing in place. That's how I chose to do it. It's going to work out good. There's no slopping or nothing. I wanted to use the round tubing. I didn't want to use the, you know, weld all them pieces of steel together and the warpage and that stuff. I just don't want to deal with it. I thought this would be slicker. When I got done, I thought it looked nicer too. But anyway, hope that helps somebody out. I think it will, because it was sure frustrating the hell out of me trying to build this thing the way he had designed to build it. It just, with no adjustment up top up here, it was a doggone nightmare. Anyway, I'll get more done. I'll hopefully post another video about it.